Hi everyone, Steven here. I've had a request to do some performance videos for vSphere. So that's what we're doing. I'm actually going to do a series of videos. It'll be a separate YouTube playlist. So this is the very first part. We'll talk about tools in the first part. We'll talk about resource pools in the second. Then I'll do individual parts for the four main food groups, which I call the CPU, memory, disk, and network. So we'll have separate videos for all those and maybe some other sub videos in there as well. So stay tuned and we'll see you in a bit. Thank you. Hi everybody, thanks for sticking around. So this is going to be really part one of our series, our performance series. So in this one, what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at what tools we have available. Okay, I'm not going to cover every single tool out there because I don't know them all, right? I'll talk about the tools that you'll generally find if you walk into any customer site in a vSphere environment. You'll generally find these tools. Okay. So I'll start off with the tools. Now, what I usually like to put this out at this point. If this is the kind of stuff you like, please subscribe to the channel. By subscribing to the channel, it actually helps support the channel. It's totally free. All you got to do is click on the subscribe button. Another way to support the channel is using the super thanks, but that's totally up to you. So enough of that. Let's jump right into it. So let me get my iPad here. All right. So let's talk about some of the tools that we have available, right? So the first tool on the list here, now this is what I'm referring to here as host-based tools. Actually, I shouldn't really call them host-based tool. They're tools within your vSphere environment that you can use. So the first one we see here is this thing called ESXTOP. This is a very common tool. Some of you may be familiar with some of these tools already. This is probably my go-to tool, to be honest with you, is ESXTOP. It provides me with real-time information, what's going on that host, okay? So in order to use this tool, you have to get to the console of the host and log in, or you have to SSH into your host. Let's say you're unable to do either one of those two, right? And you can't use ESXTOP. There's a free download. You download this from the VMware site. Okay, it's called RESXTOP. Just Google it, RESXTOP download, and you'll be able to get it. Okay, this is a tool. It's free from VMware. You install it on a Linux machine. So maybe you got a laptop running Linux, or maybe you got a VM on your laptop running Linux, right? And then you use this tool to remotely connect to your host. It could be an ESXi server you're connecting to, or a vCenter. I'll show you the command prompts on that. Another tool is the vCenter server performance charts. These are nice GUI tools. So graphical user interface. If you're not really a command line guy, because that's what these two are, they're command lines. If you're not really a command line person, then the performance charts might be your tool you want to use. They're very pretty. They don't provide you with real-time information. I'll say it provides you with near time. As small as 20 seconds, as granular as you can get. These two tools here, you can get as granular as 2 seconds, which I'll show you. Okay. And by the way, I'll demo ESXTOP because I have that. Okay. If you know how to use ESXTOP, you know how to use RESXTOP. It's pretty much the same stuff. Now I got here guest operating system tools. Why do I have that there? You need to look inside the guest as well to do your full troubleshooting. Like, what process is sucking back all my CPU, right? What process is eating up all my memory? That sort of thing. You need to understand that from the operating system perspective. VMware can't look inside and say, oh, SQL is using up all this memory. It doesn't have visibility to that. The operating system inside the VM does. So you need to know the tools in there. Very common one is Windows Perfmon, okay? For these Windows users, you're probably quite familiar with that. There's also Task Manager. Again, to me, another go-to tool, just really quick, bam, 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 within Windows Task Manager. If you're a Linux person, you're familiar with Top. Again, it's very similar to ESXTOP. This is VMware actually took Linux Top, that's a performance tool for Linux, and modified it for ESX, okay? And then there's various other tools you can use in your operating systems, whatever. I don't have them all. I don't use them all, but again, whatever, you folks can do that. So why don't we do this? Let's take a look at ESXTOP, okay? So let's get over to my right over here. So let's take a look at this. You'll see I have a vSphere environment. I've got a cluster here. It's a vSAN cluster. It looks like I got my WinVM here sucking back CPU. Who cares? All right, we're just talking about the tools right now. You'll see I got 6 hosts in my cluster. This is from my vSAN demos that I've got. I got a couple of Windows VMs running here and doing some stuff. That doesn't really matter. We're looking at tools right now, okay? So let's go into ESXi1. I'm actually going to go into, let's minimize this. Let's go into PuTTY. And I'm going to SSH into my host over here. I'll log in as root, type in my password. And again, you folks know I always like to change the appearance, the font size, and the color, the background color. Anybody knows how to do that permanently, please text me. Sorry, please leave comments below. I know I could do it, but I just no time to really look it up. Let's look at that background color. That looks good. That's good enough. Okay, so there we go. Let's go full screen. So I'm SSH'd into my server, okay, my ESXi server. So this shows me what's going on that server and that server only, not the other servers. So you need to kind of drill down to that, and I'll show you how you could do that, right? So I'm going to type in ESXTOP and then whammo. First screen I get is very intimidating. If you first look at this, you go, what the heck is going on here? These are basically the first view you see is showing you the CPU utilization. So it's showing you all the processes that are running on your host, right? You see a whole bunch of stuff over here that's listed that's running on the host, different devices and whatnot. You'll actually, if I want to, you'll see the screen is updating too. Actually, let's talk about that. So you see the screen's updating. It looks like it's every 5 seconds or so. Right? If I want to update it more often or less often, I can hit S, and that's the delay, and I can type in 10 seconds. So now it's just going to stay there for 10 seconds, then it'll update. So maybe you just want to see, oh, it's going on right now. Oh, Win 2 is at whatever this percentage use. Win 1 seems to be doing something right now, and it just updated, okay? If I want to have an update more often, remember you're creating more traffic between you and your server now, okay? So I can say I want to update it up. The minimum you can do is 2 seconds. So if I type in 1 here, I want to update every second, it's going to come back with an error. It says invalid value, it's going to go to 2 seconds. So this is updating every 2 seconds. I don't want to do that. I'll just leave it at every 5 seconds. 5 seconds. So that's kind of cool. So I see all these processes running. Now, I see a VM here. I see a VM here. Again, it's updated. Let's set this to update to 10 seconds. So you see my VMs are here, and I got some other stuff that's going on here as well, right? Suppose if I don't want to look at this, suppose if I got 50 VMs on this host and I don't want to see everything else, I can just hit Shift and V as in Victor. So capital V shows me just my virtual machines, okay? So I actually see my virtual machines there. And I'll talk about, right now we're looking at CPU. My next video, not my next one, but one of my videos will just focus on what should we be looking at for CPUs, but we need to understand what's going on underneath the covers first, okay? So again, I've got this tool here. So let me go back to Shift V to show everything. If I want to scroll up and down here, now this is kind of weird. I'm using my keypad on my keyboard. So like the number 8 is the up and the number 2 is down. So if I hit number 2, you see it just highlighted. ESXTOP right now is highlighted, and you see Win 1 is highlighted in blue. So I'm using my number 2, which is down, and number 8, which is up, to highlight something. So that's kind of neat, okay? Right now I've got, okay, that's good enough for there. If I look at the top here, you'll see some uptime information, a number of worlds, right? Worlds, think of it like worlds as processes. You'll see I got 3 VMs running on this host. There's 3 virtual CPUs that are running on this host. My CPU load average, again, it shows me 0.17, 0.18, 0.17. What the heck's that? Again, it shows me 3 numbers there. The first one I got highlighted right now is the average for the last minute. The second one is the average for the last 5 minutes. Third is the average for the last 15. Okay? Then you'll see my processor usage and stuff like that. We'll talk about that when I do the CPU one. Okay, great. So I'm looking at CPU information. Well, Steve, I want to look at memory. Great, no problems. Hit M for memory. And now you'll see memory stuff over here. And again, I'll talk about that when we get into the memory video. And you see, again, my VMs here. and then you see some memory stats, which we haven't talked about, and I'll do that in my memory video. And you see other processes that are using memory as well. I just want to see VMs. I hit Shift and V, and it shows me just the VMs if I want to. Okay. So that was C for CPU, M for memory. How about N for network? I hit N for network, and you see, again, some stuff over here. You see VMNIC 0, VMNIC 1, VMNIC 2, and VMNIC 3. Those are my physical NICs on my host. You can see the various traffic that's kind of going through them. I'm not really doing anything right now. You see, I want to show you this. You see it right over here, what I got highlighted, Win 1 and Win 2. Those are the virtual NICs for the VMs, and you can see whatever kind of is going on there. So again, N shows you network stuff. Now, how about if I want to look at storage or disks or something like that? If I hit D, it'll actually show me my storage devices. So these are my adapters: VMHBA 0, VMHBA 1, a VMHBA 64. That would be like an iSCSI adapter, right? So those are my physical adapters inside my host that my disks would connect to, and I can see if there's any traffic going through it. VMHB 0 is the one you see some traffic going through. Those are actually, that's my first SCSI controller on this host, and I got a bunch of disks connected to that for vSAN. That's why I see this. So you have to kind of understand your environment too. You can't just blindly walk in here and go, oh, I could see some of this stuff, and I can kind of make a guess on what's going on, okay? So that was D for my disk devices. U over here, if I type in U, it shows me actually my devices at this point, my disks. So you got D and U you got to look at. Now, what am I seeing here? This host has VMHBA 0, C0, T0, L0, that's LUN 0, target 0. This is actually a disk right there. And this is my second disk, and my third disk, and my fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh. Seven, yeah, it's got 7 disks on this host, right? Okay. So it'll show you the traffic going across those disks as well. You can kind of see there are some counters over here. And again, I'll cover a lot of this in my disk video as well. So again, I can go back to C for CPU, M for memory, D for devices, your disk controllers, then U type of thing, and then N for networking. Okay. One thing I want to show you as well. Let's go back to C for CPU. You see the different columns here. I'll highlight this in the video. You see the different columns. If I want to update those columns, maybe I want to add some or remove some, I can hit F. I call F for fields, right? So F for fields, and you'll see over here, you'll see right now, A is representing the ID, B is the group ID. I get the leader world ID, I got the name, I got the number member, I get the state. And these are the different kind of counters. So you have an object like CPU, then you have counters you can actually look at: CPU allocation, event counts, power sets, all this. And I could turn these things on and turn them off if I want to. So you see A has an asterisk beside it, it's actually turned on, right? So I can hit, okay, I want to turn off B, I don't care about that. So I'll hit the letter B on my keyboard. I'm going to turn off D, I'm going to turn off E and F and whatever, I'll leave that on. And I'm going to hit enter. And now you see, well, I got really nothing. I've got really a couple columns there, right? Let's go back to F for fields. Let's put B back on. Let's put D back on for the name. And then how about F will turn back on. And then K will turn off type of thing, right? So again, there's certain fields you could turn on and off if you want to. Same kind of thing in memory. If I go to memory, I hit F for fields. Again, if I want to look at my memory allocation, which is F, okay? So if I hit F on my keyboard and maybe, like hit enter, and at that point, it'll come out. So you can turn on and off certain fields if you want. If I go back to, you know what, I'll cover some of that in the individual memory videos as well. So again, keep that in mind. F is for your fields, and you can turn them on and off if you want to, okay? That's it for ESXTOP. Our ESXTOP is pretty much exactly the same, okay, folks? So let's take a look at the graphical tools now. All right, so let's take a look at the graphical tool within vCenter. This is kind of nice. Now, no matter what, depends on what object you actually select. So let me select, how about my WinVM over here? It looks like it's complaining about something. And if I click on monitor, under monitor, you'll see I've got this performance section. So I can click on overview, and it's actually showing me, let me get rid of this. It's actually showing me my performance overview. These are nice, quick, I call them watermarks. Quick, kind of gives you a clue what's going on. We could see that my CPU on this machine here is doing something, right? I don't know what. I got to dig deeper by going into the machine, maybe look and see what process is going on. I'll cover that in separate videos. But again, you see memory is also being consumed. It gives me kind of an idea what's going on, and I can actually then do a little bit more troubleshooting. Now, notice it says this is in real time. It's technically not, okay? It's about 20 seconds out, okay? Because remember, all this stuff is stored on the database, and it does like a roll-up. So if I select this, maybe I want to look at it for the last day. It's not going to show much because I haven't had it running. But I want to see what happened last week or last year. Okay, so it does this roll. I haven't had this stuff running, but you can imagine I can actually look and see what's been going on all the way up to the last year. And it does these things like a roll up. It'll take, like, for example, the last year, it takes, I think it's every day's average, and it shows it to you. Something like that, if I remember correctly, right? So I'm going to go back to real time. So it's kind of showing me my CPU memory rate. This is my swapping. Don't worry if you don't know what that is. You see my disk over here, and then you'll see my network over here. So quick view. Now I've selected my VM here, right? Watch this. I'm going to select a host, and again, overview, and you get the same kind of counters. You get CPU over here. You see a lot more lines there. It's a lot busier. What it's showing me, all these lines are showing me usage for each processor that physical host have. So if you've got 32 processors in that host, you're gonna have a lot of lines here, right? So it shows me it's pretty busy, and it's kind of like, wow, that's a lot of stuff here, right? Shows me memory information as well. We'll talk about that. Shows me my swapping in and out, highest memory, whatever, and then again over here, again, it's showing me some network stuff. So a quick idea kind of what's going on. Let's go to host 2 here. It's not really that busy. Host 3, it's, again, not too busy. Just by quickly looking here. Again, I don't sit here and use this, I want to know what's going on right now. No, that's not what this is for. Okay, folks? At that point, if I look and go, host 1 looks really busy. Let's go into ESXTOP and see kind of what's going on maybe. Let's try to narrow down what VM's making this thing busy, or VM's making this busy, right? Remember, a busy host is probably a good host because you're paying for this thing to deliver a service. So again, it really depends. Now that's the overview. What's the advanced? Oh, sorry, before I jump into that, see the little lines over here? If I click on that, you can export this to a picture. I need to capture this picture, so you can export it. You can also export it to a CSV file as well. Okay? Same kind of thing with memory and whatnot. Let's go to the advanced view. The advanced view now, again, you'll notice I can click on CPU usage over here. Maybe I want to look at memory usage. Shows me a bunch of lines. Again, we'll talk about a lot of these counters when I get to the different areas. For us to go through all of this right now, this video would be a very, very, very long, right? So we're just looking at tools. So I can look at memory, CPU, disk, whatever. It kind of gives me a quick overview, right? Let's go back to CPU, and you see it's kind of busy. There's all these lines. What's all these lines? Now, this is very similar. If you're familiar with Windows perfbond, you have a thing called an object and a counter. An object would be something like CPU. A counter would be CPU 0, CPU 1, CPU 2, like all my physical processors, that kind of thing, because that's what a counter is. So that's why you see this object 2, 4. You see the ESXi host. When I select that, you see it kind of made a highlight there. Let's deselect the line. Let's select it again. It kind of highlighted the line there. By me selecting that ESXi1, it basically is saying this is the average CPU utilization for that host. If I deselect that, I'm going to go to this one, number 2. See, that one's pretty busy, right? That's the processor. That's one of the physical processors in the host. So the 2, the 4, all these, let's organize it this way. All these are showing me the individual CPUs in the host. I'm kind of clicking on them all, right? So that's what those objects are for. Again, if I go over to here with the little lines, like the hamburger menu, you can export it to pictures or to a CSV file, comma separated value. All right, so that's kind of nice. All right, you could also like, I don't want to look at this. I want to go to my chart options. I want to customize it. Right. So again, I can look at over here. I can say, what do I want to look at? Right. Like, for example, CPU. percent usage is what's selected, and you see all the objects. No, I don't want to see all the objects. Let's just get rid of them. I just want to see the average. Okay, and again, you can also specify a time span. Right now I'm looking at real time. Maybe I want to look at it last week, last month, last year. Okay, I'm going to leave it at real time. I'm going to say okay. And you see there's the one line there. So again, and you could save this chart option if you want to. You go, this is what I'm going to use a lot. I'm going to save this as, and you can call it whatever you want. Okay, so again, it allows you to go in and kind of customize what you want. And again, we can look at memory if we wanted to. Again, I can pick and choose what I want, and then say, okay, real time, is this going to let me do it? Yeah, show me this, whatever counter I selected. Okay, and again, like I said, I'll do a video where we talk about counters. All right, so that's kind of neat. All right, so you got those two tools, ESXTOP, you got the the vCenter Server Performance Monitor, right? So the overview and the advanced. Again, I use these, and I'll be honest with you, I don't use this advanced one that often. That's just the way I am, right? That doesn't mean it's not a good tool, okay, folks? Again, I generally might look at the overview, see what's going on. You also got other things here. If I click on, let's say, my cluster, or actually if I click on my host over here, let's go to summary. You know, sometimes it shows you some stuff over here, CPU, you know, megahertz used, memory used, all that type of stuff. Gives you kind of a quick idea. I don't look at this. This to me is not real time. These are watermarks. So I just look, oh, what's going on? A quick look, then maybe I'll go over to here now and look at the overview here. Or then I'll jump into ESXTOP. My gut, I always usually jump into ESXTOP once I kind of see maybe a host is having a problem. Then I'll try and figure out why that host is having a problem, right? A lot of things, what I'll do also, let's say it's this host having a problem, I'll click on VMs over here, and you'll see that all my VMs are running on that one host. I forced them all over there, okay? For whatever reason. We'll talk about that in another video. Okay, so if I click on this host, there's really no other VMs running on some of these other hosts. Okay, that's it. Let's go back to the slide. Okay, so again, I got my head in the way over here. So this is a cheat sheet for ESXTOP. So I went through and I talked about a bunch of these commands, right? And they talk about some of the counters over here. And again, I'm going to go through a lot of these counters and more, and I'll explain what they are, okay? But we need to understand what's going on underneath the covers as well. So those will be in separate videos for CPU, separate video for memory and whatnot, okay? So this is a cheat sheet. You can Google this and, you know, ESXTOP cheat sheet. There's all kinds of them. But I'll leave a link for this in the comments for you, okay, folks? Now, RESXTOPs, if you decide to download our ESXTOP, no problems. You download it, install it into a Linux machine, and you can do the same kind of thing remotely. You don't have to have SSH turned on. And then this is how you use it. You basically use RESXTOP -- server. Notice I'm connecting to my vCenter server. -- username. I specify my vCenter server username. -- VI host. And then you specify the ESXi host you want to connect to. So maybe you don't have the credentials for the ESXi host. Nobody gave you direct credentials for that, but you do have credentials within vCenter. Then you can get to it that way, okay? So you don't have to have the root user. Or let's say you do have credentials on the ESXi host. You could do the RESXTOP -- server, specify the ESXi server -- username, whatever root, okay, or whatever user you got on there yourself, Bob, Betty, whatever, okay? So again, there's two different ways you can connect depending on what kind of credentials you may have. So that's RESXTOP. Another really cool thing is batch mode. This works with RESXTOP and ESXTOP, okay? So with ESXTOP, I showed it to you. I use that basically, you know, real time. I want to see what's going on right now, that sort of thing. But I could also use it to record information and then me take that and analyze it later on with maybe you don't like the text interface, but you want to analyze it with some other tool like a spreadsheet, right? Okay, so you can type in ESXTOP or RESXTOP, whichever. With RESXTOP, you got to connect to the, you know, like the connections that we just talked about. So -- server, -- username, that sort of thing, okay? So over here, ESXTOP -A, I want to collect all, here's the statistics. I want to collect all statistics, right? -B, that means run it in batch mode. So that's the important one. Dash D specifies the delay. Again, how often do you want to look at it, right? Like, give me the values every 10 seconds. Sort of like what I did the delay there. We saw the values updating every 2 seconds, right? So you can say just do it every 30 seconds or something like that. And how many iterations do you want? Okay. So this would give me 100 iterations every 2 seconds. So that would give me basically 100 entries, okay? And that would cover a period of 200 seconds. If this was 10 seconds, this would give me 100 entries. It would be whatever, 10 times 100, 1,000 seconds, whatever minutes, right? And then you redirect it out to a CSV file. Okay. Once you redirect it out to a CSV file, you just let this run. Once it's done, at that point, you take that CSV file, you copy it off your ESX server, or if you use an RESXTOP, you copy it off of there. And now you can use Windows perfmon and import this CSV. Maybe you're more comfortable with Windows perfmon, right? Or you could actually use bring it into Excel and do some really cool stuff within there. So that's kind of neat, and you have that as an option. Okay. So again, I know there's other tools out there as well. But these are ones that you can pretty much walk into any environment except for RESXTOP, any environment, and then boom, these tools will be there. Okay. All the other tools, again, are, there's other tools out there. There's ARIA as well. You can look at that. Maybe we'll do separate videos on that. But anyways, that's pretty much it. I want to thank you for watching. Thanks for sticking around this long. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please support the channel by subscribing. It helps me do videos. Leave comments below. If there's something you want to see me cover, please let me know. This is only part one of the performance ones. I will be covering CPU, memory, disk, and network. But we've got to talk about the technology. So don't worry about that. They will be coming, right? That's it. Thanks again. Have a great day. Bye now.